So, Rachel, I have a girlfriend named Darcy who lives in Washington State, and she works in a winery. And
Oh,
so
awesome. That is like a dream job.
that is, the only thing better is if you could moonlight tasting Godiva chocolates.
Ugh, right?
Yes. But anyway, when Darcy found out that we did a reading and drinking podcast, she started talking to me about their wines. So I have no shame, and I asked Darcy if it would be possible for her to send us a couple of bottles of her wine, which she did.
It was beautifully packaged too. So
Everything.
nice.
So let me talk a little bit about this. It's War King Wines, and it's WARR-KING Wines. They're in Woodinville, Washington, and I love this. They're called a boutique winery, and they partner with Washington's wine grape growers. And Lisa is the owner, and Lisa intentionally stays very small and focused, and she produces limited releases. And basically, she feels like this business model really honors the grower's hard work.
Yes, I agree. It keeps the quality up and makes it just an overall better product.
Now, as we were talking about this week, you had an interesting little tidbit from your Bravo experience.
Yes. So let me just explain. I had to call you and say, ha, 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 here's why reality TV is awesome, because I'm watching The Real Housewives of New Jersey, and they were at a winery, I don't know, somewhere out of New Jersey where they live, and they were going apple picking and wine tasting. And the very first wine was from Working. It was
That is so
the Riesling.
cool.
Yes.
And that's one that Darcy sent to us, isn't it?
Yes. We got such great wine.
Yes.
Let me just tell you, I might have drank most of it, if not all of it.
Yeah, because
Carmen,
I remember you took all of those bottles home, except one that I forgot to bring.
Yeah. My apologies. The Syrah was so good. It was amazing. And just a real quick side note, they actually have a great Father's Day gift box available now. It's on their website, which is warkings.com, and it's WARR-KINGWINES.com. And you go and you look under their wine, and they have a Father's Day gift box. It's $105. It's a Cabernet and a Progeny. It's a Bordeaux style. Oh, they both sound so delicious. I'm so excited about it. I think I'm going to grab one for John.
Well, I did look at their website, and I think that their prices are very reasonable.
Oh, it's amazing. It's delicious wine.
Especially for a small production boutique winery. I mean, wow. It almost makes me wish that I lived in that area, because I also saw that they have a tasting room, which is open on.
And it's only $15 tasting fee, and that is waived if you purchase a bottle.
Oh, heck yeah.
Let me just say that you will be purchasing more than one bottle. I got to tell you. And they have merchandise, and they have a great newsletter. You guys sign up for this newsletter. They're amazing wines. You will not be sorry.
Hello, and welcome to Bubbly Bibbly, the podcast about books and bubbles, literature and libations, authors and alcohol.
We love books and bubbly. We are friends who offer a curated book review section, on our website, and a hilarious podcast. We discuss books, drinks, and stories from our lives. I'm Rachel.
And I am Carmen.
Okay, Carmen, I know you do a daily journal and even moderate a Facebook group called Decorative Journaling. Decorative Journaling.
Yeah.
Decorative.
Or you can say decorative, tomato, tomato.
So tell me why you do this and what got you started and I guess how you got started.
Well, there are a number of answers to your question, and some of them kind of go deep into my innermost psyche where I'm really not sure you're prepared to enter.
Okay. Yes. As Medea might say, I'm not prayed up enough to enter your most innermost psyche.
The short answer basically is that it's fun. It lets me be a little creative, a little reflective, and, maybe one day it'll give future generations a glimpse at what it was like to be me. It's not anything that I would want people to read while I'm alive, but once I can't really be questioned.
That's kind of funny. When I'm dead, you can read it.
Yes. When I can't be questioned about the insides of my journal. Now, have you ever kept a journal or a diary or anything like that?
I haven't kept a journal, but I do bullet journal for my daily planners, for my task, and my kind of like my calendar. Mm-hmm. But in this episode, as you can tell, Carmen and I are discussing book and reading journals.
I finished reading Dreamland Burning by Jennifer Latham, and I'm going to mention it again because it is an important novel, and I think that people need to intentionally read this one, probably a lot like you felt about The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas.
Okay.
And as a privileged white woman, white people need to understand and constantly remember that the fight for civil rights is not over. I mean, it's not fire hoses and police dogs on Black children, but it is living in fear, living under suspicion, receiving attitude, that white people just do not experience.
I saw an article on Amanda Gorman, the young lady who read that poem at President Biden's inauguration. She was amazing, by the way. Mm. And she reported that she was followed on her walk home by a security guard. So as she was going into her building, he told her that she looked suspicious and allegedly asked her to prove that she lived there. So she showed him her keys and buzzed herself in. He turned and left with no words of apology.
No words of apology.
No, and who is he? Whatever.
I know. And so you know why she looks suspicious? Because she's Black? Is that it?
Right.
So I read about that too. It sickens me. But my review of Dreamland Burning is on www.bibbly.com. And I would really love to hear from you listeners when and if you read it. I would really like to know what you think.
That's going on my to-be-R list. I just finished The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. I was really looking forward to reading it. A lot of readers are using it and reading it in the Pop Sugar Challenge. But I didn't really like it that much. Oh. It ended weirdly. It was kind of good. I don't know. It was probably, I would only give it like a 3 out of 5. I enjoyed reading it. It just took me back to a time back in London. It was interesting in that sense. But trying to weave these two stories of a current day and a past day, I don't know, it just didn't work for me. It was a little bit of a forced storyline. Mm-hmm. But I am drinking, though, tonight, a new favorite. It's called an Irish Maid. John found it. It's so good. It has cucumber, Irish whiskey, Saint Germain elderflower liqueur, a little bit of lemon, and a little bit of simple syrup that John made with honey. And it's delicious.
Oh, it sounds
so
good.
What is in your glass tonight, Carmen?
In honor of reading journals, I went to the book Tequila Mockingbird, which was sent to me by our friend Gay. And I saw a recipe for an appetizer that I turned into a cocktail. It's called Olive Twist. And it's a gin martini with 3 olives and a twist of lemon. But my allergies have been so bad this week that I've been taking so much allergy medicine that I also have a big glass of water here because I think allergy medicine sucks every drop of moisture out of my body. And I'm not sure rehydrating with gin is the great thing. Now, science has documented the mental health benefits of keeping a journal.
That's right. And it doesn't really have to be fancy. You can get a 99-cent composition book that you get at Target and use that, or just a simple spiral notebook. Of course, you can get all fancy with washi tape, stickers, rubber stamps, but the point is to write. Yes.
And during those moments when you can't write, you don't want to write, you don't know what to write, just draw. There have been days that all I did was draw a picture of what was taking over my mind. And there are a lot of different ways to journal, and you just really have to listen to yourself and let yourself tell you what you need to get out that day or that moment.
Well, and that's right. So, like I said, I use bullet journaling to make my list and set my agendas, plan, trips, summarize what I need or just my tasks that I've got for that day. Then there are writing journals where you flex your writing biceps. And you write poems and stories and weave tales and even haikus. And I believe you're a lover of those, aren't you, Carmen?
Oh, my gosh. I am a haiku lover. I have a little...
This is so funny. You might be the only person I know that just, embraces that. Now, probably everyone's going to let me know that you're not the only one, but I just find that so interesting.
Well, I've got a little Moleskine notebook of a year that I wrote a haiku almost every day. And it's really interesting to look back on it because the set format forced me to really think and hone my feelings for that day into the 5-7-5 syllables. Because, a haiku is 3 lines. So the first line is 5.
You got to get to the point.
That's right. So it's not 5 words, it's 5 syllables. And so 7 syllables, then 5 syllables. So it was a good artistic exercise for me. And it kind of offered a different kind of look into a year in my life through these haiku.
That is so interesting. But not everybody wants their entries to be read, though. Many therapists tell their patients to write them down and then destroy what they've written. It's very tactile and even event-oriented action of letting something go. You can write things on paper that you would never, ever dare say to anyone and then destroy it and let it go. Just
that is very true.
That emotion.
We find that in email and on text a lot, don't we? You put things on the screen and on paper that you would never say in person. But that is one caution with keeping a journal. Don't write for an audience. Don't write with the idea that it will be read. Write for yourself to get clarity, to work through problems or difficult situations. Be real and truthful and without worry. The point is to get it out of yourself and onto the page. And then you can do with it whatever you want. But writing it down gives you options that you don't have when it's stuck on the inside of you.
Okay, so let's bring this around to journaling, books, and reading. And I say both books and reading because I think there's a difference in the two types of journaling. Journaling your books is more like a list. like keeping track of the genres that you're reading or that you've read, the authors that you're reading, and the fulfillment of criteria of challenges in which you may be participating, like the Pop Sugar Challenge or reading, I don't know, through the years or reading every color or I don't know, but keeping a list of your criteria for your challenges.
And a perfect example of this is the journal that our listener Janet is keeping. And it's a fairly extensive journal that she found on Etsy, and it was created especially for the Pop Sugar Reading Challenge. And there are any number of ways to decorate it, color it in. There are stickers that you can buy and use in it, just to customize it and make it yours. It looks like a really fun way to keep track of a year's worth of the books that you've read and what you plan to read, and lots of little treasures that you can write down in between.
Yes, there's lots of ways you can list your books you've read. But my question is, if you do it on paper, how do you sort, arrange, filter, and otherwise manipulate your data, and then to get future information from it? Like, how do you use it?
That is spoken like the computer nerd and graphic designer that you are, my friend.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure the joy of the journal specifically designed for the Pop Sugar Challenge is the writing down, decorating, and drawing. Starting a column and completing a criteria, filling a page that was blank at the beginning of the year. I think it's really the journey that you take throughout the year, and your steps on that journey are recorded in the journal.
I can definitely see the joy of that for creative people. And like for me, I would love that. I love the idea of standard journaling, standard journal being delivered to various households. And then over the course of the year, the 365 days, that common book is changed, is personalized, it gets big and bulky. They're gluing stuff in there, they're putting their washi tape, they're making it their own personality and their personal reading journey that they have, that they've discovered.
Look at you, Rachel, waxing all poetic. Oh, but you're right. The book journal can be as personal or as minimal as you like. Can you imagine the joy of a granddaughter or great-grandson who's also a reader, and they discover these bound journals years and years after you make them? Think about finding one of the journals that your great-grandmother kept and reading through it yourself. It's just amazing.
Wouldn't that be amazing? And to see what she thought of a book you both loved, like you loved it and you found out she loved it or something.
Yes.
That you have that in common. And now let's talk about journaling your reading. These are, in my mind, more in-depth than book journals. And the main reason for that is that there's a written book review. And it doesn't have to be anything fancy or long, but it's like a rating or, the reason why you rated it the way you did. It's what you thought about a book.
Well, and I'm going to have to mirror your above question. If you put it on paper, how can you easily come back to it? How can you reread a book and then compare the two reviews? You'd have to go through potentially a stack of notebooks looking at each entry to try to find that review. I'm not down with that.
Yeah, that's true. And let's go back to the idea that this journal is a journey and not necessarily a tool. So surely if you want quick and easy access to your data, then you need to capture it somehow electronically. And if you're using it for a different purpose, I think, if you're doing it on your computer, then it's for different reasons. So let's get some fresh ice in these drinks and dig a little deeper. So, Carmen, you're the one who posts book reviews on Bibbly.
Yes, I do. I try to write a review for every book that I read, and I post it on our website as well as my personal account on Goodreads. And, I've wondered if you ever write reviews for the books you read.
I haven't. I've told my book clubs, what I think about a book, but I've never written it down in a review. But that may change. You're talking me into it, I think, kind of behind the scenes. But what makes you write a review and post it for others to read?
Well, when I am looking for a new book or when I'm thinking about adding something to my TBR, I really rely on the reviews of other readers. And I
Okay.
want to offer that same resource to them in writing about what my opinion of a book is. Plus, when I've been on the fence about either the number of likes that I will give, the writing, the story, writing the review really helps me flesh out different feelings and opinions that I have on the book. And it forces me, again, this whole journal idea forces me to get what is on the inside aligned with what I'm typing on the outside.
Yeah. And that is the journey. So if you're keeping a life journal, why don't you write your reviews as opposed to typing them?
Well, like you said earlier, probably because it's more important for me to use that as a tool that I can access and read, that I can quickly get to and sort, rather than a place that I write once and forget it. And that's exactly what would happen to me if I write it on paper.
Okay. Well, do you ever go back and reread your journals?
Hardly ever.
That's interesting. You've never gone back and like looked at a period of time. That's kind of interesting. With the many choices on the market for both keeping track of your books, of the books you've read, as well as reading and reviews, it's really all about your personal preference, I guess. As I was looking online for physical notebooks for this purpose, for these purposes, I found that you can use it as a one-stop shop. They have some journals that you can do your listing in and do your reviews, but again, that's writing. But you can list your book reads. You can keep the list of books. You can also do the list books that you want to explore more, like your TBR list. Once you've read a book, there's a place for all kinds of data about the book, like the genre, the number of pages, your rating. But there are also even more in-depth areas that you can complete, like the list of characters, the themes in the books, new words for you, all kinds of things. It's so great. And not to mention including your review and what caused you to, pick the book in the first place. So there's like a huge amount of tracking that you can do with your reading.
Yes. And you're right about that physical notebook for these purposes, because I was doing some research in that too. And, again, I just have to go to, if I'm looking for pure data, and let's say, for example, Goodreads, which I use the most often, it will tell me at the end of the year how many pages I read, or what genre I tended to go to, or I also set a goal for the year for my reading, the number of books to read, and it tells me
too,
every time I finish a book, oh, you're 8 ahead of schedule.
Right. I love that.
Yeah. And
it makes me feel like, okay, I'm doing good.
Yeah. So you can't get that from a notebook, but the downside of that is, and I'm going to talk about my beloved Shelfari again.
Oh my gosh.
All of my books were in Shelfari, and when Shelfari sold to Amazon, there were some metrics that they didn't bring over, like a list of characters. You can't find a list of characters in a particular book online. And I really think the conversations are, they're a little awkward. They don't kind of, they don't stay under the topic that you're answering. And I like a hierarchy. In Shelfari, you could ask a question and then everybody would answer that question and it would be under the initial question. But
okay, so Goodreads doesn't do that.
No, in Goodreads, it's just entry. And so, there are pros and cons to both of them. But I think the main point is reading really is just an all-inclusive experience. And it starts the minute you have that spark of interest about a book, all the way through your process of deciding whether or not to read it, where it falls on your TBR. I don't know how many times I've moved a book up based on someone's review or moved it down based on their review. Or
Yeah,
sometimes
me too.
I've moved it off. And then there's the decision about whether you're going to listen to it, read the e-copy, or hold the physical book. Are you going to get it from the library? Are you going to borrow it from a friend? Are you going to buy it? And then all of this happens before you even start reading. And it's just the whole reading thing is such a beautiful human experience to me.
It really is. It's like you said, it's a process and experience that includes so many senses. I think that's why readers are so passionate about it and want to share as much as we can. And it's the nerdiest kind of data ever, as they say.
And the sound of our cheering fans means it's time for listener comments.
On our spring equinox post, Fran commented, "Time to get out the Moscow mules and get ready for Fiesta's season." We love that. Thank you, Fran.
Yes, Fran, I like the way you think. And when asked when you last visited your library, Jennifer replied, "I think I need to start going back. There's just something so relaxing finding a book and anticipating how good it's going to be." And Jennifer, that is the perfect comment for this podcast.
That is so amazing. Well, for this episode, let us know if you keep a journal of your reading, authors, books, challenges, or any other bibliophile information. Let us know how you journal it. And of course, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest.
And visit www.bubblybibbly.com, where you can be guaranteed to find the pot of gold at the end of the podcast rainbow. Well, maybe not really, but you can buy some hella cool merchandise.
And remember, CEO Jim Barksdale said, "If we have data, let's look at data. If all we have are opinions, we're going with mine."